Okay, so I'm here sitting out my deck. You can see that our yard is not mowed. Our lawnmower is broken down. But what I wanted to talk about was the concept that I'm Gnostic instead of atheist, and why. And first of all Gnostics are different, and it's basically you're in the process of Gnosis, so you're never really to your destination of finding the answers. Nobody finds the answers. So it's just basically a way for my brain, because I was a very mathematical person. I took advanced mathematics in high school, and then when I got into college, I was majored in psychology, but I was also in physics, lab, and trigonometry. And basically wanted to explain the hallucinogenic mystical experience and why people like me want to explain it with mathematics and geometry and that kind of thing. First of all, after I graduated high school, between college and in college, I was a very avid hallucinator. I took lots of psilocybin mushrooms. I've taken mescaline, peyote, acid. As far as psilocybin goes, it was free where I went to school in Georgia. You just had to go into people's cow fields and collect it. You could collect cardboard boxes full. So I really don't even have a number to put on how many times I've tripped, except for that it's upwards of 300 times. So basically what happened is I'm in college, I'm taking physics, and I'm into quantum physics, even though string theory has not caught on very good yet, because we're talking about 1993, 94. So I was already having some problems with hallucinating and what I felt like understanding quantum physics more, and people not getting what I was talking about, even though now string theory kind of explains how there could be different dimensions, how there could be cosmic strings and wormholes and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, my deal is that I had been raised really religious, Mormon religion, so I was forced to go to seminary every day before school, so I know everything about the Bible. Enough to know that it was written by a human and that it was very, it had very many inconsistencies, as we know. So what I was trying to do was trying to get into different philosophies. I started collecting books. I now own over 2,500 books, which I can show my library here. Maybe at the end of the video I'll put in a picture. But anyways, I read constantly or absorb constantly. I have really good hearing. I can hear a car coming, which is very rare for around here, so maybe there won't be many of those. But anyways, okay, so basically what I was running into, and I ended up quitting college because I got very frustrated with the hallucinogenic mystical experiences that I was having, and I was seeing them as a geometry type thing. I was seeing structures and everything. So I didn't have any way to explain that to people. And so I basically did some research on Gnostics that were science mind-based. Like, for instance, if you know who PhilipK.Dick is, he wrote Valis, which was vast, active, living, intelligent system. He wrote many others, you know, Minority Report, and all these different ones that were made into movies and whatever. But I found out just the other day, because it's weird that he was one of my favorite sci-fi authors, but I'd never researched his beliefs or his system. But he is labeled under the Gnostic banner, even though he's one of the scientific Gnostics, so he's not a technical Gnostic, because there's different gradients of Gnostics, I guess. And the scientific-based ones, we want to keep everything to evidence and try to explain mystical experiences through science and how it could happen with quantum physics, alternate timelines, multiple universes, bilocation, that kind of thing. So what I wanted to say is that PhilipK.Dick, he basically had 2 wisdom teeth taken out, and was in really, really high, intense pain. And the delivery girl came to deliver his pain medication, and he saw a symbol on her necklace. Now, most people would think that the fish is a Jesus, just a straight up Jesus made a miracle and created fish thing. That's not really what it was supposed to say. The Bible has been changed, blah, 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 whatever. Anyways, he asked the girl what the fish meant, and she said that it was a Gnostic symbol. That's Gnostic, Gnostic. She said that it was a Gnostic symbol, and he went back into his house, took some opiates, and had a hallucinatory mystical experience, which he called anamnesis. Anamnesis is the opposite of amnesia, and because in anamnesis you have the loss of forgetfulness that we have been this technology advanced before here on Earth, just in a different way. And you know, the pyramids were primarily a worldwide power grid, and that's why most of them have sealed boxes in them, because they think maybe they ran on nuclear type of power and cooling and that kind of thing. But whatever, that's for another talk. The point is that he had this experience where he saw a pink light, and in this pink light was the inspiration for many more mystical experiences that he had. That was the initial experience that caused him to write. Got my kitty's coughing. Come here, baby. Come here. Sorry. So he had this mystical experience, and he wrote the book Valis based on that first mystical experience. And he described it as, even though this was before this was when computers took up a whole room or whatever, but he described it as a computer that was like ones and zeros, either an on or either is or not. And so basically he described it as a quantum computer that could show him alternate timelines, and that this is where he got most of the inspirations for his sci-fi books. I want to point out as well that there's other sci-fi authors that are in the Gnostic realm, like Carl Sagan, who also believed that his Galactic Federation stuff was either future, past, or quantumly possible, and that's what made him be considered a Gnostic. So basically, you have other people like Aleister Crowley, who was Gnostic, who claimed in his mystical experiences to speak to Egyptian, I can't remember if it was a goddess or a pharaoh or something, somebody from the intense past that made us remember that we have been here for many, many years, and that the signals in our brain that make us conscious rather than being just a animal is in our brain. It actually, when you die, you lose at like a 0.08 of a whatever of an ounce, I think, and that's supposedly the electrical hardware of your brain that cannot be destroyed, because energy cannot be created or destroyed, and our brains run like a computer processor. They run on energy, solar energy mostly. So here comes a car. Big truck. Okay. So my point is to not put yourself in boxes, and Gnosticism gives you a way to not have to box yourself, because you're in the process of Gnosis. That means you're in the process of gaining knowledge on every subject that you like, and you don't have to make beliefs. You can make ideas, and tomorrow what I call my brain weather might completely think something different according to how sad or happy I am, or if I'm producing DMT with my pineal gland, or whatever. And I wanted to kind of connect the worlds together of atheism and Gnosis, because Gnosis in the sci-fi area is people who have had experiences that they can't explain, or gotten information that they can't explain. But we do not want to explain them in a religious, like, archetypal way. We want to try to explain them through physics and quantum physics, or through geometry, or like with PhilipK.Dick, he believed in a multiple universe theory, where every free will decision gives you two offshoots, and you have different universes and whatever. But you don't have to stay rigid to any one idea, because you're learning. You're not learned. I don't have the answers. This is just my experience, because I produce a very high amount of DMT in my brain, in my pineal gland, maybe because I've hallucinated so many times in my life, but also it could be that I meditate and do stuff like that. But binaural beats, I do those also. So basically, let's see where we are. So PhilipK.Dick was a guy who was very scientific. He did not want to attribute this mystical experience to a religious experience, but he didn't know how to explain it. So he started a journal. Besides just writing the sci-fi books, he started a journal called Exegesis, spelled Exegesis, and it actually, in its full, has 8,000 pages. But there was a book of it produced in 2011 that published almost 2,000 of the pages. So, he even, when people would try to say that he's talking about God or whatever, he would call it the zebra, because he's basically saying that it's black or white, or on or off, or there or not, and same way that a computer works with zeros and ones. That's the way he was explaining it. So, he first tried to use engramming, which is a type of geometrical forms to explain things. It's related to the Kabbalah and the Torah, the Tetragrammaton, whatever. He first tried to explain it with that, and then he named it Valis, which, like I said, means vast, active, living intelligence center system, which people who were Gnostic, like Edgar Cayce would go into trances and cure diseases like a doctor. He could tell what people's symptoms were and whatever. He claimed that it was a hall of records that was like a computer interface that you could just kind of look up things that were going on with people right then, and he could tell them what was going on. He cured many people, Edgar Cayce did, and unexplainably. And he also wrote a lot of text on the Gnostic Gospels that were found, because when all the Christ stuff was happening, everything got changed around because, first of all, it was just voice traditions till almost 70 years after he was dead, and then there was a Roman Constantine who decided to put the books together. He got together the Council of Nicaea and decided which books would go into the Bible. And so what happened was Roman Constantine wanted to keep control, just as they do today. The government or whatever wants to keep control over the people. So they took the things out of the religion that was trying to say that everyone can find purpose, everyone can do your own thing and whatever. They made it look like Jesus just basically committed suicide via cob, when really it was more like he realized that wasn't the end of him, so it didn't matter. Which I don't agree with suicide in any form, and that's just because I think that it is selfish. Big truck. Same big truck. I hope he doesn't start coming up and down just because I'm sitting outside. Sometimes people do that around here, but anyways. Okay, so basically going way back to the beginning, whenever I said he saw a necklace, and the necklace had a fish type thing on it, and she said that it was a Gnostic symbol. Well, when he looked it up, he realized that it wasn't a fish, that it's actually a portion of DNA, and that the Gnostics said that DNA and opening your extra codons and stuff like that, they believed that would give you more insight into the world or understand more. It's really hard to explain my experiences because most of them were hallucinatory, but I've had things that have happened that are just straight up unexplainable knowledge that I would get in a dream or something like that. So, there's just a lot of that stuff, and so I just wanted to say that I don't want to put myself in a box, and I don't want anybody else in a box, because basically we're at the point now in technology where we could push ourselves over into a golden age of stuff, but we need people that are science-based, that believe in the human race and believe that we can get rid of this curse of like religious dogma and having to worry so much about what happens after you die. Instead, worry about what's happening now, and instead of like worrying about whether you have a kid or not. In my case, we didn't want to have a kid. I'd already had my daughter when I got together with my boyfriend. We've been together for 17 years, But we had not planned to have any more kids. I was told by several doctors that I could never have another kid. I had had cancer and a surgery, and was told that I would never be able to have kids. 10 years later, 10 years of being together every day, and all of a sudden I was pregnant. So we went through all the normal questions and, you know, whatever, but I have to say that when I had my son, it changed my entire life, mainly because it changed my significant other's life. He had never had a kid of his own. I mean, of course, Pandora was his, but stepdaughter, and not that we believe in marriage, we're not married. It wasn't like he was a bad parent to Pandora or anything like that. It was just he had never experienced the whole you made it out of your DNA thing. And when they handed him the baby, he had a, like, I would call it a mystical kind of experience where he, you know, fell in love with the baby, and he named it Anthony Thomas Mosley VI after himself. You know, now we're to the 6th. So, anyways, now he would disagree. He's still totally atheist. Doesn't have mystical experiences. Has had hallucinatory experiences, but we just had a debate last week, and he doesn't agree with everything I say, or a lot of it that I say, you know. And I'm also technically crazy, if you want to say that, because I'm disabled, and he's my caretaker and all that stuff. So what? There goes my cat up a tree. So what? My point is, okay, where was I? So he believed in this huge quantum computer that could tell you different timelines and ways that you could talk to your future or past self, or see different timelines during mystical experiences. And so let's see. Part of it was that whenever he saw the fish and he realized that it was the DNA, he got instant information put into his brain with this, what he described as a pink light. In exegesis, he explained it as a pink light that was like an intelligent light. Like, I mean, that was his mystical experience. People have different kinds, and a lot of people label them as religious, or religious in the negative way, like satanic or schizophrenic, or whatever, which you can consider me schizophrenic, because I have those experiences, and you could consider me dissociative identity disorder, because I blank out and trance out and can't hear what's around me and stuff sometimes. So anyways, and then also the instant knowledge that the micro and macro are all the same, just from different perspectives. Our solar system is just like an atom or a molecule that is just on the macro scale, and that's everything, and that there's a whole structure that holds up the universe behind everything, and I believe that's geometry, and as well as physics and quantum physics, dimensions, and that kind of thing. So the point of my story is to basically explain that everybody has suffering, and most people puts value on that suffering, doesn't want others to suffer in that way. They can make that logic leap that if this feels this bad to me, that you don't want to do it to others. That's been a big debate lately going around the atheist and / nihilist community, and I wanted to appeal to people to try to go to their scientific side and start learning more sciences and learning more stuff so that we can get more technology out there. I mean, basically, at CERN right now, they're trying to figure out how to build a quantum engine so that we can become spacefaring again. And then there's a whole bunch of other people who already think we are spacefaring and blah, blah, blah. There's a million different questions and loops and whatever. But what PhilipK.Dick said in Exegesis about suffering is that suffering comes from lack of life or overabundance of life, and that finding that common in-between area is what you gotta try to find. And that the two big barriers to your potential is either fear or laziness. So if you're atheist and you don't want to be like these dogmatic religious people, then consider the fact that you are being like them if you aren't educating yourself more and learning things and changing your ideas every day, because you're either not wanting to understand that there's a system that controls us that we can maybe cooperatively get rid of through progressive acts and, you know, getting progressive people into the government, like Bernie Sanders, for instance, and understand that when you're fighting a battle with someone, you are basically projecting your values onto them and what you feel about yourself, because you only have knowledge of your brain. You're only extrapolating to how other people feel. You can say that you know how other people feel or you know how other people think, but really you don't. You're making an extrapolation through projection. So we're basically just battling our own psyche, our shadow self, like Carl Jung, with a J, J-U-N-G, Carl Jung believed that if we tamed our shadows, which I totally believe that helped my life, tame our shadows and understand that it's not black and white, and that if you polarize good and bad, that it's not good, because your shadow self will come out more. That you more need to just generalize and understand grayness, that things are gray. You know, we can say someone's a terrorist, but the reason why they're a terrorist might be the suffering that they experienced or whatever. So things start to get gray. It's not just black and white. That's the whole problem. And so then I've been asked about positive attraction and quantum physics. And basically, when you're coming to quantum physics with the buckyball experiment, you can affect one atom at a time. Okay? So basically, what you're doing is you're doing that by observance. Observance can change an atom from a particle into a wave through the buckyball experiment and many others, but that's the most famous experiment. Then the second thing is quantum entanglement, because everybody else that's a human has a consciousness in their brain that runs their brain that quantumly entangles you in my life and causes me to have influence over your life and you to have influence over my life subtly through quantum entanglement. And that positive attraction isn't about, the universe will give me this or that, you know, whatever, if I'm positive. It's not like that. It's having intention, then on top of that intention, knowing what you need to do to reach your goal, then doing the things physically that you need to reach your goal. If I didn't walk and take my kid to the park walking and stuff, it's only about a half a mile from here, I would probably be like 300 pounds. I'm a little lower than that because I walk and I exercise, and I understand that I can't wish away my fat and that it will just go. You got to put the physical into it, the goals, and then cooperation with other people. That's when you really get like a vortex going, because of the quantum entanglement and how everybody's affecting the situation. And that's why I think that it's very important for the atheist community to open up to maybe understanding your pineal gland and understanding how your body produces DMT, and maybe understanding that you can have mystical hallucinatory experiences and not have to be religious or whatever. So, this is one of the quotes that I'm almost finished here. So this is one of the quotes that I wanted to say, that from PhilipK.Dick. The inconsistency of love is like a splinter in our mind. So basically what he's saying is that you're either suffering from not having love or having too much love, or the same thing with abundance, or fear or laziness. You got to have like a balance between that. And he called it the not too hot, not too cold. It's the Goldilocks of self-realization, me, with quantum entanglement being realized, because I can sit here and have my little experiences and live my life with my family and whatever, but we're all on the same planet and we're all quantumly entangled. If I do that, you know, that's a conscious decision that I made that can be debated with quantum physics. But basically, I totally forgot what I was talking about. So, quantum entanglement is the thing. I can only get so far in my progression. I can read all my books. I can believe, things, but I really don't like the word belief, because I like ideas, because my beliefs change every day. I might have a totally different idea of what Gnosis is tomorrow or whatever. And that's the whole point, is to stay open philosophically too. That each person has their own little grain of sand, Aristotle, Plato, each person has a different idea of why we're experiencing these things. And, there's a lot out there who do that without having to be, religiously involved or believing that there is an all-seeing eye or whatever. So I basically wanted to try to awaken people to quantum entanglement in the atheist community, so that you can understand how we interact as a group and how things can get done as a group and things can change. And that's what I wanted to mainly say. And then, when you are, one kind of belief that I would say I have is in synchronicity, that when you are engaging in quantum entanglement progression, you will see synchronicities in your life that specifically you're like, oh, that's such a coincidence, blah, blah, blah. You'll read, you'll learn a new word. That day you'll see that word for the first time, or notice it for the first time on a television show. And so basically I want to end with that PhilipK.Dick was very embarrassed about trying to explain it in a mystical way. That's why he wrote sci-fi books. That's why Carl Sagan did also, because so hard to explain your experiences with people when you feel like you're a scientific mind and in that community, so it's hard to explain your different experiences without tainting them with archetypes and gods and goddesses or whatever. So basically, Gnostics believe in the syncrosis of the universe, and that synchronicity, when you're going about and you're in the vortex and you're getting synchronicities, it's like you're going down the river and you're no longer fighting the current. And you'll start realizing that in your life by different little crazy things, you know. And I'll be 40 here in like a month or so, and so I mean, this is just my opinion. Lots of hallucinating. I'm really big fan of Robert Anton Wilson and his books Cosmic Trigger, and Cosmic Trigger 2, and Illuminatus, and also Timothy Leary, who actually invented LSD. He was a friend of Robert Anton Wilson's, and a good book of his is Cyberspace and Beyond, which he wrote before the internet, so he predicted totally what we would be doing now. You read it and you think, wow, this guy wrote this before that, but you see that we all quantumly entangle and see kind of the technology that we could have in the future. Maybe that's a way to explain it, is that maybe it's through quantum entanglement we're seeing the possibilities that the humans can reach, and it's just more like a forethought kind of thing. So what I was going to say, the last thing that I was going to say about PhilipK.Dick is that he wrote the sci-fi books because he was embarrassed of his exegesis and this experience that he got all this from. So he kept a journal, but then he hid it. Like, his wife, Tessa.Dick, did not even know it existed till after he died, and that it was 8,000 pages. They called it the Red Book, exegesis. But that he was not only embarrassed for his wife to know that he was writing about these mystical experiences, but he was also scared at times, because he would have mystical experiences that would make him paranoid, and he would sometimes think that she was an alien, and sometimes he would think she was a spy, or that sometimes she was a time traveler from the future that was trying to alter his timeline and all this stuff. So that's basically all I needed to say, and I would like for my friends that I do hangouts with, if you please take the time to watch this and take notes and have questions for me, and maybe we can do a hangout soon, whoever wants to do it, because I'm not good at leading a group at all. I'm too flighty. So for right now, I'm going to stick to just this, and I'm going to try to produce this and see what happens. Other than that,